10 months down, 2 more to go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is Life Well Spent. My name is Kelly, and on this channel, I document my financial journey. So I do a number of things like budgets, some debt payoff stuff. I'm actually hoping to get into some investing conversations starting probably next year. Um, yeah, I just decided a while back that I needed to do something to kind of hold myself accountable, and that's what this is. So if that's a journey you want to be along for, maybe get some ideas to use in your own life, that's great. I'd be happy to have you. Today's video is because October is now over. I'll be closing out October's budget. So let's get into it. All right. So, those of you who have been here before know that I utilize a zero-based budget, which means that before the month starts, every dollar has an assignment or, some kind of job in mind. And I'm usually pretty good at staying within budget. Sometimes it kind of looks like I've overspent my budget because I pulled money from savings that were designed specifically to be spent at a later date. So, but for the most part, I think I do a pretty good job with it. Sometimes things come in that surprise me, like this time. But nevertheless, this is my ooh, budget amounts. These are my actual amounts. So my actual amount of income was $3,781.50 from my day job. That's fairly accurate unless I get to a point where I have to make a change. So in January, it'll shift a little bit because the tax brackets shift a little bit, from the Trump tax plan from, like, 2016 or 2017, whenever he took office. So, like, they're gonna go for, like, 10 years, so everything kinda shifts, and we pay a little bit more every year in taxes. Um, so short of that changing at some point, which I don't think Congress is gonna really do anything about it, certainly not until after the election, in which case the tax year will have already started, it won't matter. So, there will be a change there. There is sometimes, like, I'll adjust my allocations come January for my HSA because that has increased, and I might actually start contributing to, a 457 or a 403b. I'm really torn. I would like to do the 457, but there is an obnoxious fee that I don't think I should have to pay um, in order to do that. So that's not great. And I can do a 403b without really paying any of those fees. So while I would rather the 457 because that gives me a lot more flexibility, ultimately, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Um, but anyway, I might make some changes. So instead of doing, maxing out my Roth IRA, I might put a little bit in the Roth IRA and instead um, max out or at least put that same amount of money towards a 403b. So we'll have to see. I'm not sure. I'm actually one of the things I'd like to do in this month or next month is actually schedule a meeting with a financial planner and, kind of work on some scenarios. So those kind of things might change. But anyway, typically my income doesn't usually change unless it's my month with 3 pays, which is November. Um, and I think it was June and November this year. It was July and November, maybe. I feel like they're usually 6 months apart. So May and November, I guess, probably. Okay. Anyway, $570 came from my mother, which makes me laugh because she typically gives me some things for things that we have. Like she's on my cell phone plan. We have some shared subscriptions and things like that that she pays for her part of. And she gives me $50 to put into a brokerage account for my niece. She does 50, I do 50. But there's some other expenses in here, right towards the end of the month. So I talked about this in videos like within the past month because I haven't had it very long. I got a Chase Sapphire, um, credit card with the or Chase Sapphire Preferred credit card, with the idea of doing, using points for travel and things like that. But with it, the sign-on bonus is like 60,000 points or something like that if you spend $4,000 in 6 no, 3 months. Yes, 4,000 in 3 months. Some are like 3,000 in 4 months or whatever. This one was 4,000 in 3 months. And the thing is, that's a lot of money for me to spend in 3 months. Because I've really, really, cranked my budget down and I've gotten really serious about, like, not overspending. It was very helpful to get rid of Amazon Prime because now I think I've made like 3 Amazon orders all year long. One of them was for a graduation gift for somebody, back in May. Um, I bought a couple of things that I needed for the house, or maybe it was for no, for my trip. My mom and I are taking a cruise to the Bahamas, so we bought some things for that. And I think that's about it. Maybe a book. I think I bought a book as a gift for someone. So yeah, it's really not a lot. So that's been really helpful for my financial situation. But for me then to spend $4,000 is kind of in 3 months is kind of challenging, especially since, like, I can't pay my mortgage with a credit card. I already tried. If for no other reason than to, like, get the max amount of points, right? Because if I or at least let me say, I have not figured out a way to do it yet. But if I go through here and I look at, like, even what I've budgeted, well, we'll take out my, um actually, let me put those 2 things in there because I didn't pay my don't pay my garbage, and I don't always pay, I didn't have to pay my internet really last month, and then yeah. So, anyway, um, it's about $2,200 a month with my, like, just things I need to pay for. Um, and if I could put all of those things on a credit card, then yeah, no problem. I could spend 4,000 like that and could build up points more and more and more and more and more. And a lot of these things I can, but my utilities I cannot. So I learned that I could with my gas bill. I can with my power bill and my sewer bill and my water bill, but there's a fee incurred, and I don't think it's worth paying extra for those things just to get points out of them. So, um, yeah. So at this point, like, like I said, I would if I could, but at this point I can't. So anyway, all that to say, I told my mom that, like, I kind of calculated out, like, oh, it's going to be tough for me to get to this point. So I told my mom, I said, listen, anytime we go anywhere, let me pay. And we have, like, we've gone out to eat twice we ate at Trivia. I've paid both times. She paid me back for one of them. One of them was on me to pay. Um, we're getting ready to go shopping tomorrow to get some stuff, more stuff for the trip. Let me pay. She sends me the money for it, but at least it registers as having, spent money. Um, Anyway, one of the things she had coming up, she texted me and was like, "Hey, do you wanna pay for this? I have to buy it now." And I was like, "Heck yeah, I do. Let me just pay for that." So, she's already sent me the money. That's what's, uh, sitting here in I forget where I actually spent it out of. Oh, I think I probably put it under mom, but anyway. So this is the extra, $465 worth of something else I bought for her. Um Miscellaneous extra income this month was $708.95. The bulk of that is reimbursement for, a conference that I paid for, also with that card, so I could, like, jumpstart that. Um, I paid for it at work. Actually, I don't usually, and then, the we were kind of at a point in the month where, like, the board has to approve of, like, paying the bills, and so when we were close to kind of a board meeting, and, our the person I normally book through was like he's like, I don't know if there's enough room on my card for that right now until, like, we get approval to pay bills." Um, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." that's fine. I'm thinking in my head, like, I'll just wait a couple weeks, and then I remembered the card was coming, so I was like, "Ah." I was like, "Would it be easier if I just paid it and then, like, you just pay me back?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we could totally do that." So I was like, and sold, because that was like $655 or something insane like that. So, okay, total income then for me this month was $5,060.45. Unfortunately, a lot of that extra income was something that was like purely just spent and reimbursed. It wasn't just, hey, look, surprise money. Anyway, mortgage 648.67. That is my mortgage, my principal and interest, like the taxes that get escrowed in there, insurance gets escrowed in there, and what else? PMI, which I think is supposed to drop in November, so this should be the last, well, I bet it drops after the November payment, if it drops at all. I think it's still on there. Like, it's supposed to drop after in November, but considering my payment's due on the 1st, I'm sure it's after the payment of November. So I don't know if they have adjusted my payment to make up for not making that payment. Like, I am paying less, so I sort of think maybe they're doing that, but I don't really know. I don't think that the amount I owe is gonna change. I think that it'll change at the end of the year when I get my or at the end of my year, which for me, my purchasing year, I think I bought in, like, July. So come September, I make my first payment of the year. So, like, in July and August, I'll get an escrow statement and either have to put more money into it or get a refund, and I don't know at that point, like, I don't know if they can legally say, "Well, in 3 months, this is going to go away, so we'll adjust for it," or if it just doesn't, like, I don't know, maybe they legally can't do that, because if something happens that it still need like, that I suddenly don't have that 20% value anymore, and the interest is, or the PMI is still required, like, I don't know. I don't know how that works, so I guess we'll see. I have a feeling I'm gonna keep paying it, and then at the end of the month or at the end of the year, like, back in August, I'm gonna get, like, a refund of all of it. That would be my guess. Um, anyway, electric 52.46. Not terrible for this time of year, to be honest. Natural gas, 62.89. Also not terrible for this time of year. It was a really, really warm October, which sort of ticks me off. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me back up. Just kidding. Two things. My amount was 25.49, which makes sense because I would have just been cooking a little bit, and this is pretty much September's usage, so, and it was a pretty warm September. I don't even think I turned the heat on. I think I turned the heat on at the start of, like, maybe first week of October. My October amount is 37.40, which is fairly low because it has been a very, very warm October. Now, if you have seen my videos, the last, maybe my November budget video and my week 4 transactions video. So I learned that I could pay my gas bill with my Chase Sapphire, and I kept clicking to go through and to make the payment, thinking that at some point I'm gonna see when I get to, like, the very end where I'm gonna confirm, they're gonna be like, "Hey, we're gonna charge you, like, 10% for this," or whatever, and then I would back out of it. And it just never, like, I never got that memo. And so I was like, "Yeah, all right, let's go. Sure, cool, click it, let's send it." And I realized after I sent it, I didn't put the right date on it, and I ended up paying it in October. So this 37.40 is technically October's usage, but November's bill. And again, like, that is actually really low compared to other Octobers because it has been unbelievably warm. Like, it was 80 degrees on Halloween. It's normally snowing. Well, not normally snowing, but it has snowed. It's gotten cold enough to snow. And it is normally in the evenings, like, dropping into the high 30s, low 40s, low to mid 40s, I should say. And there's usually a bit of a nip to the air at Halloween around here, but nope. Thank you, climate change. Sewer $63, that's a flat rate. Water $1.05, which is, I guess I went a little over my minimum usage, by $1.05's worth, whatever that equals. Um, and I accidentally last month double paid a couple of things. Water was one of them, and my internet was one of them. Only my internet wasn't quite accurate, so I took the moment to, or took the opportunity to actually like make it accurate. So anyway, I owed $1.05. Had I not gone over, I wouldn't have, there wouldn't have been anything in there. My internet bill had always been a little bit off because I started, oh, at some point they adjusted the amount I owed. And then I called and was like, so I like paid a month and then, but called and was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, this is too much. So then they adjusted it back and I kind of had like a little bit of extra. And then something else happened kind of similar. And I realized that if I'd signed up for auto pay, I could get a $10 discount. So I did that, which left me with like an extra $3 in there. So this month I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pay that. So boom, now I'm back to even Steven. Like it was, I would get a bill for 50, um, $55, but I was just like automatically paying because I just had it set to pay, just to pay it out monthly on the first of the month. So I just was like, ugh, I don't feel like canceling that. The auto payments, for whatever reason, like you can cancel them, you can skip them, but you can't go in and like edit them. And so I was like, ugh, I don't feel like editing it. So this $3 are just going to sit there until now, apparently. Cell phone, $61.78. Groceries for the month, $251.90. Pretty psyched about that because I've been getting really close and or going over lately. So I'm happy that that was within that range. Probably helped by the fact that there was a week there I didn't even go to the grocery store. I just kind of used what was in the house. Like I was able to get away with that. It was like I had a whole bunch of, I think there were like 3 days I didn't need to eat lunch. There was one dinner that I was going to be out, and I had some leftovers still, and I was like, man, like I think I can get away with not even making a grocery run this week. So I did. And that saved me probably. Gas 135.71, still under on that. Did not spend anything in my house and garden. Restaurant, technically went over when I look at like how this is 121.04, but this 46.04 is actually my mother what my mother paid for that I just, swiped it. So fitness 41.85, that's my Y fee. I go there to swim. Personal, a bit over. A wee bit over on personal. Yeah, $71 over. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Um yeah, I'm trying to look here. So technically I'm $51.87 under budget if I consider the fact that like that gas bill was stupid and I just accidentally double paid it. Oh, just kidding. Hang on, I do need to include that. $48.87. So, yeah. It's not as bad, right? It's not as bad. Miscellaneous, I only spent $31.78. I'm trying to remember what I got I think I bought some. Oh, I know what it is. Advent calendars for me and my mom. We always, well, we don't always. We probably started this like 4 or 5 years ago, and we've enjoyed it. And I had this one last year. I did this one and a chocolate one because my mom wanted the chocolate one. So this year we're doing a Walker shortbread advent calendar. So yeah, I love me shortbread. It's pretty exciting. Anyway, so I ordered one for me. I ordered one for my mother. It reminds me I've got to actually get that over to my car so that I take it to her tomorrow. And so yeah, so I ordered those mostly because I wanted to make sure they didn't sell out. Especially because I was trying not to buy it on Amazon, and I did not. Success for me. So anyway, typically I would probably buy that in November, but I did not. All right, miscellaneous, $31.78. $100 to my niece's brokerage. Again, that's 50 from me, 50 from my mom, $70.83 to my brokerage account. I've talked about this in the past. I just got to the point where I realized I was sending almost $1,000 a month to investment accounts, and I was $70.83 short. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing it, squeezing it in there. And $500 to my Roth IRA. Work expenses, $855. Two things. I paid $200 to upgrade my license from my level 1, which is a temporary license, to a level 2, which is a permanent. It's a 99-year license, but like I'm already 44, so I don't think I have to worry about 99 years from now. So yeah, it's a permanent license. Um I wasn't really planning on doing that. I got a message about like the thing that I had set up already, and that it would only be held for so long and blah blah blah, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just do it now. Like, I think my initial plan was to pay for it in December or November, and then I just wasn't really thinking. And again, had my Chase Sapphire card, and was like, "Hey, do you want to here? Take $200 here. Put 200 more on there." And then of course the conference, which I got the conference reimbursed, but I did not get the license reimbursed, unfortunately. All right, emergency fund. I was actually able to put $1,153.59 into my emergency fund, so that's exciting. I put $67 into my medical fund. I got a reimbursement from I had to go to the dentist. I had a tooth that was like browning and yellowing, and it looked like it was dying. It was not. Ultimately, the problem was with my toothbrush, and like it wasn't brushing well enough, apparently. And I drink a lot of tea, so my teeth kind of yellow anyway a little bit. But the discoloration looked very, very different from the other ones, and I was like, "Oh my god, my tooth is dying." And it's like a front tooth, like, that's just great. And I went to the dentist, and he was just like, "No, that's not what's happening." So, anyway, all is fine, but that cost me $115 to learn, and then, of course, my, dental reimbursed some of that. So, all right, whatever. I put 155 into my subscriptions, paid 398 out. That was pretty much just this month, is iCloud subscriptions. Nothing really renewed in October. I do have some things that renew in November. Some things I canceled. Some things I'm still kind of debating on whether or not to cancel. But anyway, $17 to my Knitting Lion Club. I will pay that out in January. $50 went into my giving fund. $59 into my car insurance fund. $50 into the car repair. Another $50 into the gift fund. I spent $60.27 out of the gift fund. I sent my niece an advent calendar, a different one. Like, those are fine, but she loves to build things. So I got her this one that has 24 different little like household science experiments. So that'll be fun for her anyway. And her mother. I have to say, I do get her mother's permission before I send something, because I'm like, I realize because of her age, um, she's still in the single digits. So she's old enough to do some things by herself, but some things are going to require mom or dad. And so I kind of clear with her first before I'm like, "Hey, I want to send this thing." But I realize that in sending this thing, I'm also kind of putting a bit of a burden on you. So are you okay with this? And, because last thing I want is to send something and have her do it and have mom be like, "Oh my God, I don't have the time for this. I don't have the energy for this. Like, this is just too much." So if she looks at something and is like, "Oh God, no, please don't want that in my house," then I won't send it. And the kid will never know. Anyway, travel. I had planned to put $80 in, and then I decided to dump more in. I dumped $493 into the travel fund, because I had to spend some out of the travel fund. I spent $825.15. So here's what happened. Um, our flights got changed, and our flights were supposed to go down on a Saturday, and our cruise leaves on a Monday, and our flights got changed, and they're like, "Oh, now you're flying Sunday." And I was like, "No, I'm not." Because the reason we picked Saturday, even though we knew it was going to cost us an extra day in a hotel, more meals, things like that, I said, I don't really want to run the risk of not being able to get down there, because of when we're flying, it's over winter, you've got winter travel problems and things like that. I was like, there could be a massive storm that cancels flights, and, whatever. And at any part of the country, right? Like, our plane could be coming from Colorado. And if there's like a blizzard in Colorado, guess what? It's not leaving, and we're going to have other problems. So I was like, we need Sunday as wiggle room if we need it. And that, like, worst case scenario, we could drive if we have to. And Or at this point, we'd probably take the train, but still, like, we need to give ourselves enough time to have other options, and that's not possible if we go Sunday and then get, like, screwed on Sunday. So, we canceled those flights and I booked new flights, and so I put that on my card. And I also, reserved the hotel rooms and things like that on my Chase card. So that's where, like, the extra expenses came from. I originally wasn't really planning on booking those until, like, November, and I was gonna budget for it then. And then the more, like, after the second hurricane, I think I was like, "Ooh, I feel like we should probably book a hotel just in case, like, you know, if something comes through and they end up having to kick us out because of, like, people sheltering from, a new hurricane that's come through or whatever, like, that is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna complain about that. Would it be a nuisance? Sure, but I don't wanna, like, not be able to get a room because of that. So at least we have something there at this point. Put $50 into the clothing, fund, but did not spend anything in there, and then I kind of have my own little separate thing going. I'm doing, like, $20 a week, into my, into, like, a little Bahamas fund that is just I'm just gonna, like, that's just gonna be, like, cash I carry around to do, like, fun stuff with, to, like, not really, just fun money I can blow. I don't really need to even think about it. So that's the amount I have right now. Just $20 a week. I figure I can squeeze $20 out of my budget and go from there. So anyway, that's October. That's how I did. Stayed on track with most things, and I'm under budget in most things. So I'm pretty happy about that. Some of the things that I ended up having to pay for were things that I I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the overspending because I was ultimately going to spend it. I just didn't plan to spend it in October. Like, the $200 for my admin cert, like, I knew I was going to be paying that in the next couple of months, just to get that over with. And, you know, like, that is what it is. That money was going to be spent at some point. Booking hotels. Well, I wasn't planning on booking flights, but, booking hotels and things like that. Like, yep, I was expecting to have to pay that money. So just having done it a little bit earlier, not the end of the world to me. So I can live with that. So, anyway, that's it. That's my budget. This video is long enough. If you are still here, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.